Hello everyone. Welcome on in. I'm Velvet. Thanks for joining me today for the Greek tiny home speed build. So that's what we're building today, and I think it came out super cute. This build was actually for a shell challenge, and that was hosted by Leaf, NZ Leaf TTV. They do a monthly shell challenge. So if you are interested in shell challenges, I recommend checking out Leaf's gallery because you can find some up there every month, which is pretty cool. And they tour on Twitch too, which is fun. And this is what I built for the shell challenge. So a little tiny home with a Greek theme. Now, Greece. It's not usually a style that I build a lot of. So I feel like this was pushing myself stylistically a little bit. Greek is kind of, that quite Mediterranean style. And I placed it in Tartosa because Tartosa is that Mediterranean style world that we have. We got with Wedding Stories. It's a beautiful world. Broken pack, but a beautiful world. And you know what? Wedding Stories actually has some really nice build buy. So I quite like the pack from that perspective. From the gameplay perspective, whatever. But, the cast actually is really good too. So there's a lot to recommend this pack, just not the gameplay. Anywho, that roof. I'm not much of a person for domed roofs. I don't do a lot of them. So I always feel like I haven't got quite the right shape or the right roof balance, if that makes sense. You know how you just kind of want to have like this balanced kind of look to your roof? And I don't know, I always struggle with that when I'm using unusual roof shapes, like, with the domes and the hipped roofs and that sort of thing. So I feel like I did struggle with feeling happy with the roofing. So that was a challenge for me. I felt like that was interesting. Now I did build this semi-limited pack. Leaf doesn't have all of the packs, and I remembered that partway through, very soon actually, because one of the packs that she doesn't have is Wedding Stories, funnily enough. So I was going to like deep dive into Wedding Stories with this pack because it does actually really suit the Mediterranean style. And then I was just like, oh, hang on, that's a bad idea because Leaf doesn't have Wedding Stories. So probably not the best idea to use that pack in great abundance or at all. So I ended up having to change a few things because I had started on with that pack and then, remembered about the limited packs, and I was just like, whoopsies. But it was fine. It worked out okay. I worked around it and it was all good. So got there in the end. And I think I mainly used expansion packs and a few game packs for this build. I don't think I used any stuff packs or kits. I'm pretty sure I just decided not to bother with those and just kept it fairly limited. I do quite a few limited pack builds. So, if you are looking for some, check out my gallery, VelvettB. You never know what you find on there. There's all sorts of things. Limited pack, lots of packs. There we go. But so it was as I was sort of I placed the trees, and then I was just remembering about the Wedding Story. I wanted to get that Wedding Story vibe with the trees. So I did have a look around through debug to see which trees were sitting in debug that would actually match with the world. So I did try and do that because obviously I wasn't actually using the specific Wedding Stories pack. So I had to kind of work around a little bit with, this is me changing it here, with the different packs to see if there were any packs that had, similar trees to what was actually out in the world in Tartosa. And I actually did manage to find some that I felt really worked. So I was happy with that. Because quite often when the Sims do release packs, they quite regularly like reuse like a lot of the trees and the plants that they have used in previous packs in the same, in a specific pack debug. So you can quite often find similar plants throughout multiple different kinds of expansion packs. So I managed to find some similar ones, which is good. They might tweak them a little bit, but they're similar enough that it's fine. So yeah, you can see I changed the fencing, and I'm just putting some hedging around the outside of the fencing there. So I ended up using the privacy fencing from For Rent. I actually ended up using quite a bit of For Rent for this. It just, I don't know why, but it just worked for me. for this style of house. And I don't know whether or not I essentially captured Greek architecture in a very accurate way, but it was just like an inspiration and a sort of a style aesthetic, really, more than anything. It wouldn't be like 100% authentic to Greek architecture, but I did my little velvety best and just made like a pretty little build. I love the blue and the white. Blue and white is such a good combination, so I really dug down into that combo and just created some little cute things around the place, just using little daisies and white flowers around and about. You'll also see there's some eggs on the ground. So one of the things with this shell challenge was to hide the Easter eggs around the place, because this was actually built for Easter. Oh, I've changed the color of the roof. Yeah, I thought I did. And then there was like this domey bell roofy thing, and I just I deleted it and then I added it again, and I deleted it and I added it again. I don't think I kept it in the end, because I was just really uncertain about that. And again, it was just me struggling or not feeling a 100% with the balance of the roofing that I put on this. I think it ended up looking fine. Like it was absolutely fine, but it's just, you get in your head about this thing and you fixate on it. And for me in this build, that was what I fixated on. I think because this is not a roofing style that I do very often, so it was a little bit of a struggle from that perspective, just figuring that out and feeling comfortable with it. And I think the only way that you can really feel comfortable with a roofing style is just by doing it and doing it and doing it again. So I will have to do more sort of Mediterranean style builds, I think. I can see some more in my future. I think it's a pretty style. But I do lean in more towards the more modern style, so but I do like to challenge myself as well by doing different styles. So I see more in my future. But I do like to do a Mediterranean build, and I think Tartosa suits it really well, and Oasis Springs actually suits it really well as well. I also feel like you could do it a bit in Ciudad Enamorada, the Love Struck World. I think in the architecture, like there's a Spanish architecture style in that world, but I feel like it does lean quite heavily into a Mediterranean influence. So I feel like a Mediterranean build would actually really fit in that world as well. So yeah, we've actually got like quite a few options, or at least 3 options anyway, of worlds that really do suit this style. So I feel like I do need to practice it a little bit more. Anyway, the Easter eggs. So it was like a little Easter egg hunt. So you could hide one of each of the Easter eggs. So I think there was 12 Easter eggs in total that you can get in the game. So, it's just kind of like a little fun thing on stream. Leaf would go around and find all the eggs in the build. So that's what I did as well. I had like some little Easter eggs around there. So if you're wondering, if you download this build and you're thinking, why are there Easter eggs everywhere? It's because there's like a bonus Easter egg hunt in there, and you can just find them and remove them. It's fine. But yeah, bonus little Easter egg hunt. Oh, and I also put like an outdoor fireplace, which is something I don't do a lot of, but I saw this fireplace and the colors of it, and I thought, you know what, that's just so Mediterranean looking and would actually really suit this build. So yeah, I did decide to add an outdoor fireplace, which I really liked. I quite enjoyed that. I need to do a little bit more of that as well. Quite often I'll do like a little fire pit thing, but having like a full outdoor fireplace is, really something that I don't do a lot of. So again, just one of those little things that I just need to maybe think about when I'm doing the outside worlds of builds. Sometimes you just come across these when you're doing a particular build, and you just come across these ideas that you haven't used for a while, and you just kind of bring them out from your little bag of tricks, and you remember why you do this and why you like doing that little trick, or whatever. And I feel like I had a couple of those in this build, which was quite cool. It's bringing back some memories of some tricks that I do. And then you're doing completely different builds, and then you just forget about it again for a while until you need the little trick again, as you do. So as I said, really digging into the blue and white theme. I felt blue and white was really the 2 colors that I associated with Greece. Just like the beautiful white buildings and the blue, Mediterranean Ocean, and it's That's where my brain went. And I feel like a lot of people probably go there with Mediterranean builds or Greek builds, going with the blue and white. But you know what? Classics are classics for a reason, you know? So this is actually a tiny home. So I think it's, what does it say there? I can't actually read it on my screen. It's too small. But yeah, I think it's a 64 or 100 tile home. Let's see if I can squeeze it in. Can I read it from here? Yeah, 100 tiles. Okay. So it is the largest kind of tiny home. It's not a micro home. So, but with the tiny homes, you actually get the gameplay buffs. So they're actually quite good to use like early on in gameplay challenges and legacies and things like that, because you can skill up so much faster with a tiny home. It's fantastic. I'm using a micro home for my 100 baby challenge, and I'm finding that just absolutely fantastic for aging up kids, because I'm able to get the kids just skilled up so much faster because of the micro home, skill buff. And it's just fantastic. So I highly recommend, if you've got the tiny home stuff pack and you're able to have a tiny home residential, you're starting off a challenge or whatever, really, really good. If you need to do any sort of skill-based things, it's fantastic. Just, it happens so much faster, and that's wonderful, because then you can get into other things rather than just, grinding out your skills, which is great. So on the inside, I balanced out the the blue and the white with grey. So you can sort of see there, I've done a grey carpet. I've got sort of like a bit of a cube of a kitchen, which I thought was, something a little different. I don't often do the same flooring, same wallpaper with bathrooms or kitchens, but did I keep that? I'm pretty sure I did keep that in that case. Sometimes it just looks quite fun and cool. So that's what I did. And yes, very much a tiny home. So I've got a little 1x2 bathroom there. I did play test it, fully functional, so that all works fine. And that was the only bathroom we had in the build. So 1 bathroom, 1 bedroom. I wanted a little bit of space in the living area down the bottom, just to be able to fit in like your kitchen, your dining table, and a little decent amount of living space as well. So managed to fit it all in, so that's good. But it's always a challenge when you are doing a tiny home to be able to squeeze everything in and make it functional, so your sim can walk around and do what they're going to do. Yeah, that's the challenge, but they are fun to do. And you always want to take advantage of the outside of the build as much as you can if you want to have skill building stuff in here, because I feel like the inside with a tiny home is quite often just you're eating and sleeping and doing the basics, and then you can kind of do like those little bit of extras on the on the exterior. Although I feel like here I did have enough space for a few little things. Anyway, I had a little bit of space there. But if it is a 2-story tiny home as well, you've got to fit in those stairs. Although I mean, you can sneaky it with a ladder if you want to really save space. But in this case, I did use the stairs, and it is 2 levels, so you've got to really consider that, because stairs actually do take up quite a bit of space. When you are doing a tiny home, it in spaces at a premium, it's just like, stairs kind of feel like an indulgence, which seems like a weird thing to say, but they really do. Like, for space wise, they are an indulgence in that space. But I probably could have fit more skill stuff on the inside, I feel like, if I felt like I needed to. And there's little areas where you could delete stuff if more decorative stuff, and change it to more practical stuff if you wanted to. So there is room inside to have a bit of skill building as well. But it's just kind of designed as more of just a nice residential, really, more than anything. So in the upstairs, in the bedroom upstairs, that was a struggle just trying to work out what I wanted to do as far as wallpaper and beds. But I did, once I hit this wallpaper from Crystal Creations. Oh, so I must use that kit. That stuff pack. I do use stuff packs then. Okay, good. All right, I couldn't remember. Then I got that balance with the white and the dark blue, and I thought that kind of worked. Anyway, I'm going to leave you guys to enjoy the tours. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.